You're a confident, accomplished man with a wealth of life experience most younger women find intriguing. Yet when it comes to making that connection, whether she's a colleague, a friend, or someone you've just met, things sometimes fall flat. She seems interested at first, but then she pulls back. Sound familiar? Here's the hard truth. It's rarely about who you are. Instead, it's often those small, unnoticed habits that send the wrong signals. And the frustrating part? These are mistakes you likely don't even realize you're making. Stick with me because we're uncovering the subtle but critical errors that can instantly turn younger women off. Watch carefully, because by the time we hit the halfway point, you'll see exactly what's been holding you back and how to fix it. 1. Acting jealous or possessive. Imagine this. She mentions grabbing lunch with a male colleague, and your first instinct is to ask, "Who's this guy?" Not in a curious way, but as though you're investigating a crime. That's the kind of behavior that immediately raises red flags. Younger women are drawn to confidence, not a man who feels threatened by her social interactions. Psychologically, jealousy signals insecurity. If you're constantly questioning her motives or showing visible discomfort when she interacts with other men, she'll interpret it as a lack of self-assurance. Confidence is the real currency here. When you're self-assured, you're saying, "I know what I bring to the table, and I trust you to respect that." Here's a real-world example. She tells you she's attending a work event where she'll be networking. Instead of sulking or making snide comments, say, "Sounds like a great opportunity. Go knock it out of the park." It shows trust, maturity, and that you're not sweating the small stuff. Now, here's where things get even trickier. What about when you're too accommodating? Stick around because the next one is just as important. 2. Being needy or clingy. We've all seen it. The guy who texts her 3 times in a row when she hasn't replied? Or worse, the guy who turns every interaction into, "Do you still like me?" Younger women want to feel valued, not burdened by emotional dependency. Needy behavior isn't just unattractive, it's exhausting. Here's a basic psychology on attraction. When you act like she's your emotional crutch, it puts unfair pressure on her to reassure you constantly. You're not just her date or potential partner, you're inadvertently becoming her part-time therapist. Here's a scenario. Say you're colleagues and she's had a busy day. You text, "Hey, you seemed stressed earlier. If you need to vent, let me know." That's supportive without being overbearing. But sending, "Are you upset with me? Did I do something wrong?" shifts the focus to your insecurities. Needy vibes kill the spark fast. Speaking of sparks, do you think being too nice will save you? Think again, because mistake number 3 will clear that up. 3. Playing the nice guy card too strongly. Being nice isn't the problem. Overcompensating with niceness because you think it'll earn you points? That's where things go south. Showering her with compliments, agreeing with everything she says, and bending over backward to please her can make you seem insincere, or worse, manipulative. Here's the psychology. People respect those who respect themselves. If you're too agreeable, it feels like you're hiding your real personality to gain approval. Women, especially younger ones, are skilled at detecting this. Say she's a friend from the gym and you agree to help her set up a new routine. You say, "I've got some free time Saturday afternoon if that works for you." Confident, straightforward. But if you're constantly saying things like, "I'll cancel my plans, just tell me when," it screams desperation. Balance is key. Be kind, but have boundaries. Being too nice is like playing a weak hand in poker. It's obvious and it doesn't impress. But speaking of weak hands, let's talk about what happens when men try to lead with their wallet. 4. Making it all about wealth or material gifts. Pulling up in your luxury car and throwing down your black card for dinner might catch her eye initially, but relying on material things to impress her? That fades fast. A younger woman is looking for connection and authenticity, not just a walking bank account. Psychologists refer to this as the halo effect. You're hoping your money overshadows any shortcomings in personality or emotional depth. But when your primary draw is material, she'll start wondering what's underneath, and if there's nothing there, the interest evaporates. Here's a scenario. You're an acquaintance from work, and you offer to treat her to coffee. She orders something simple, and you casually pay. I've got it. I always take care of my friends. Generosity is appealing. Bragging is not. Money might open the door, but it doesn't keep her in the room. Speaking of rooms, let's address a behavior that can empty one out faster than anything else: being overbearing. 5. Being too overbearing or macho. Leadership and decisiveness are attractive traits. Control and dominance are not. If you find yourself dictating where to go, what to eat, or how to spend time, you're likely crossing into overbearing territory. Nobody wants to feel like they're being parented, especially by someone they're considering dating. Here's the psychology behind it. Overbearing behavior is often rooted in fear of losing control. But when you try to dominate every situation, you unintentionally highlight your insecurities. True strength comes from collaboration, not coercion. Picture this. She's your colleague, and you're discussing dinner plans after work. Instead of, "We're going to this steakhouse. Trust me, it's the best," say, "How about steak tonight, or do you have a spot in mind?" It's decisive while respecting her input. There's a fine line between confidence and control. Learn to walk it. Now that we've covered how being overbearing can push her away, let's dive into one of the 2 key mistakes I mentioned in the intro. Mistake 6. It's not just about what you say, but how often, and it can completely shift how she sees you. 6. Complimenting physical appearance excessively. We get it, she's stunning. But if every conversation starts or ends with, "You're so gorgeous," or "How do you look this amazing every day?" it starts to feel hollow. Compliments are great when they're earned, but overloading her with praise about her looks can backfire. Here's the psychology. Constantly pointing out her appearance shifts the dynamic from meaningful connection to surface-level admiration. It can make her wonder if you're interested in her or just the packaging. Say she's your friend from yoga class, and she shows up with a new haircut. Instead of going overboard with, "Wow, you're even hotter now," try something like, "The new haircut suits you. Good choice." It's genuine and keeps the focus on her decisions, not just her looks. Speaking of focus, sometimes what you think it is a harmless observation can cross boundaries. Let's dive into that next. 7. Lack of personal boundaries. Whether it's calling her at odd hours or trying to involve yourself in every aspect of her life, not respecting her boundaries is a surefire way to push her away. You may think you're being attentive, but it comes off as intrusive. Psychologically, boundaries signal self-respect. If you don't honor hers, she'll question whether you even respect yourself. Women appreciate men who value their time and space as much as their own. Here's a scenario. She's a colleague, and you notice she's working late. Instead of saying, "I'll wait for you, we can leave together," try, "Don't burn yourself out. See you tomorrow." You're showing care without being overbearing. Without boundaries, even the best intentions can feel like a burden. But what about when you take masculinity too far? That's where the next mistake comes in. 8. Overemphasizing masculinity. It's one thing to exude confidence and decisiveness. It's another to turn every interaction into a flex. Trying to constantly showcase your strength, authority, or dominance makes you look like you're compensating. The psychology? True masculinity isn't about being the loudest or most assertive guy in the room. It's about being secure enough to be vulnerable too. Women are drawn to men who can balance strength with emotional intelligence. For example, she's your gym buddy, and she mentions struggling to balance work and fitness. Instead of saying, "Just power through, it's what I do," try, "I get that." Sometimes stepping back and reassessing can do wonders. You're showing understanding, which is far more attractive than pretending to have all the answers. Balancing strength and empathy is key. But let's talk about when things move too quickly for comfort. 9. Moving too fast too soon. You've known her for a couple of weeks, and suddenly you're planning weekend getaways or hinting at a future together. While enthusiasm is nice, rushing things can make her feel overwhelmed or worse, trapped. Psychology explains this as the intimacy acceleration trap. Relationships need time to build trust and familiarity. Trying to fast-track this process often comes across as impulsive and desperate. Imagine this. She's an acquaintance from your networking group. You've had a couple of friendly coffee meetups, and you suggest, we should go to Napa for the weekend. A better approach? Let's plan another coffee soon. I really enjoyed our last chat. Build rapport gradually and let her set the pace. Speaking of pace, let's slow down and talk about a big mistake that can quietly sabotage your chances. As mentioned in the intro, sign 10 is the second biggest mistake, and it's one you absolutely need to avoid. 10. Failing to respect her independence. Whether she's climbing the corporate ladder or pursuing personal passions, younger women value their independence. If you undermine or dismiss her ambitions, you're sending the message that you don't see her as an equal. Psychologically, autonomy is critical to self-identity. Supporting her independence shows that you respect her as an individual, not just as a potential partner. Here's a scenario. She's a colleague and she mentions staying late to prepare for a big presentation. Instead of saying, "Don't work so hard, it's not worth it," say, "That sounds like a huge opportunity. Let me know if you need someone to practice with." You're encouraging her goals without trying to take over. So what's one habit you think might quietly ruin your chances with her? If this resonated, don't forget to subscribe to After School Psychology, and stay tuned for more no-nonsense advice to help you get it right. See you in the next video.